Good day, listener, viewer. Welcome to the Arsenal Armchair Podcast, brought to you by Hoxton Radio. In this week's episode, we're going transatlantic to check in with Kurtis Powers. He set up the New York Arsenal Supporters Club yonks ago, and they host meetups for pretty much every match. There's a couple of pubs they go to in the Big Apple, and it's a really welcoming community. I guess when you go abroad, it's so cool when you see someone else with not just a footy shirt, but an Arsenal shirt on, and then getting to see a match. It's always anxious traveling as a football fan to think, oh, where can I go? Where am I going to watch tonight's whatever match? And to know that they've got you covered in the Big Apple is amazing. Kurtis talks to us about how the World Cup's going for him so far. The New York Knicks recently triumphing in the States, and how that's been as a buzz. Kind of like his recap and his recall of like the Bournemouth match. It feels like the other week, but it was the other month. He was actually on a flight at the time that he found out that we'd won the league. And just his kind of like general antics sort of pre and around home matches. He also shows us through his wardrobe of many, many Arsenal shirts, a couple of them signed by a few legends along the way. So really good chat, a really nice guy to catch up with. Check his radio station, which is called The Face. And if you're in New York City anytime soon, you know where to go to catch the Gooners. I'll do a little wrap up at the end. But this is Kurtis Powers on the Arsenal Armchair Podcast. He hears and sees me all the way from New York City. We've got Kurtis Powers on the line. How are you, sir?
Hello. I'm all right. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Must be a pretty fun time to be in NYC right now.
It's obviously the two things that are celebratory right now, both the Arsenal and the Knicks. Two things that I wouldn't have thought definitely would happen at this point in time. It's it's monumental. Like between I was in London a few weeks ago for a big parade there, and unfortunately you couldn't get anywhere near anything in the parade. New York City is a bit tighter, so to get close to anything was like, yeah, nah. So but yeah, it's a good time for winning things.
I guess here in London, like the Arsenal parade was, wow, I mean, it took in such a massive area, but essentially it was like North London. For the Knicks, is it the whole of New York?
Well, mostly like lower Manhattan. And so like for instance, my a person that was just here, he his name's Tom. He owns one of the Arsenal bars here in New York, called O'Hanlon's. And they're at about 14th Street, which is like the East Village of Manhattan. So, maybe not even a third of the way up, right? Maybe yeah, something like that. There were so many people that couldn't find anywhere to get in that they would just find, like, they were he turned up, I think he said he turned up at like 10:30 in the morning, and there was a queue of like over 150 people outside the pub to like find a place to watch, or to just congregate, because you just couldn't fit in anywhere else. So yeah, everything, yeah. But that whole thing, because like City Hall's downtown, and the parade starts, they call it like, I can't even remember what they call that area, but it's yeah, it's really tight, really dense for a handful of streets. And you're right, like that was the beauty of North London, is that 3 mile loop where, on the day of the parade, right, it was so brilliant because we had met some people up near like Turnpike Gate. And I can't even remember the name of the park that we sat in to watch it, but all the tube stops were closed on the way up because it was already jammed at Finsbury, at Arsenal, at Caledonia Road. All those were busy, so we already had the intention of going further. But then the walk back, just walking back through North London, where every neighborhood was slightly different, having their own celebrations after the parade. It did feel special, but like, kind of seeing a little bit of both between New York and London, like two very, very special cities that fucking deserve, well, kind of, I said, that deserved the long await. You know what I mean?
And then how was the climax to our season over there? How did it kind of go down for you? What was like the Bournemouth match like? And then talk me through that kind of like whirlwind that I don't think anyone expected really.
Well, so is this video? Is this live video as well?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna show you something. So obviously we all know 19th of April, right? We played City, that 3-0 loss. How much that hurt. We thought our season was done. Our man Declan Rice, what did he say?
It's not over. Oh,
It's not
hello.
done.
Hello.
That like when the end of the season came around, obviously it was 19th of May, 1 month later, right? That we learned that we won the league. It like all just like you're like, wow. Like it gave me this like weird like psychological, like it wasn't about sport, it was about something like so much richer and deeper, you know what I mean? And so I had been over for Burnley the week well actually yeah, a week.
It's on the Monday. Burnley was Monday,
It was on the
wasn't it?
Monday. Yeah.
Yeah.
So oh, this is a great story. I'm excited to share the story with you. Um so we had Burnley on the Monday, and I think you were there as well, right?
Yeah.
So you remember the atmosphere, like so we were at the roundabout outside the armory and stuff like that, and you know the coaches came in and everyone, the flares, like everything was. I'm like getting the bumps from it right now, like thinking about it. And it was magic, wasn't it? Like it after the years of like like I remember like that last season or two of Wenger where like it was it almost you didn't want to go anymore to the football because we were so we were so divided, and it was just it didn't feel good to be there anymore, right? And so to go from that to like we didn't know if we were going to win the league or not even the night of Burnley, right? We were like, all right, well there's still a chance, but who knows. um and to just see that like just joy from everyone and the way that everyone was so eager to greet the coaches when they pulled in, I was like, wow, this is something is elevated here in a way that like I don't know that that many sport fans will ever experience, like. And so I annoyingly I was on a budget, so I was like, all right, I booked the flight and tickets for that match, um thinking that because I can't remember who City had played the week prior, but there was that possibility that if they hadn't won, that if we won against Burnley, like we could be celebrating that day. Not thinking, I was like, I left on the Tuesday, um, and so I was in flight from back from London to New York, and I had the most expensive, dodgiest, damn you, Virgin, uh, the most dodgy internet you could ever have, and all I'm doing is just like I'm on BBC app, just like I'm not watching it, I'm just watching the text comments, and the flight's quiet because it's like I don't know whatever time it is. But at a certain point, I'm standing up, and I reckon that like a few people are looking at me like, "What's this guy doing? He looks a bit mad." Um, and then I very quietly, but like when I saw that it was over, and had to keep refreshing because they had like 3 more minutes. I was like, "Oh," and I refresh, and that moment I was like, "Yeah!" And at that point, I had like 5 or 6 people look over to me like they knew exactly what I was on about at that moment. And then what was amazing is there was about a dozen people that stood up. People started clapping on the airplane. I brought it to the airplane to tell people oh sorry, we done it, and it was really really exciting. So the first thing that I did was I got off the flight, got back home, dropped my bags off, and then I went out and went to a place called O'Hanlon's in Manhattan, and it was absolutely heaving. It was also like the hottest night on the planet. Like almost no one had a shirt on because it was so hot in the boozer. Because that was also the Knicks were also playing the playoffs at that point as well. And so it was a magic night to one, be celebrating with like hundreds of Arsenal fans in a pub in New York, right? Whilst the Knicks are also in the, you know, in the playoffs. It was surreal, mate. Like it was just, it's the only thing I have an absolute buzz for right now, even now. So,
And is this your pub that you regularly go to? What's it called? Oh,
so in New York City, I've organized since like 2007 a thing called Arsenal New York City, which is the official supporter group in New York, and I think we've got nine pubs between like throughout New York City and slightly beyond. But a very good one is called O'Hanlon's. It's on 14th Street in the East Village of Manhattan. There's also a really good one that it gets a lot of PR in Brooklyn. That's called Fancy Free, which is where our mayor, who supports the Arsenal, watches. Spike Lee watches. On like I wasn't there for the last match of the season, but like people like Jason Sudeikis was around that day, and it's weird when like your football club is becoming more and more celebrity. Like, cause for the longest time, I feel like the celebrities like, no, it's okay, we're good. um, but yeah, Sudeikis was there. We haven't had Anne Hathaway yet, but but yeah, she was repping New York, Knicks and Arsenal. So but yeah, we've got quite a few places. There's a cool place called Jack Doyle's, which is uptown near like Times Square, at Madison Square Garden area. There's there loads and loads of places to watch the Arsenal in New York City, which is great. So, and a brilliant community, like diverse and round and broad, and I love it. Yeah.
Giles Peterson.
Mhm.
He's recently been rolling with you guys.
Yeah, I met Giles probably. It's funny, I didn't meet him through music, which is fun. Met him through Arsenal, right? I mean, obviously I knew who he was, but yeah, he's watched with me at Fancy Free. I I had this I've had this funny text with him where like um, the last text was, was it the beginning of the season? Yeah, it was around. Yeah, because he comes over for New York City Winter Jazz, which is really good, and so he's watched a good handful of times. But we've watched it at O'Hanlon's, at Fancy Free, et cetera, et cetera. But we were joking that every time we watch together, we win. We've never lost when I watch with him, and so I'm always just saying like, when are you going to be? We need a win. When are you going to be back over again? It's nice to have that like. I don't know how familiar you are with New York, David, but it's New York and London. Like I've heard it for years. There's like this coin thing called nylon, and it's just New York, London, and like there are so many more similarities than differences. It's diverse, it's international, it's New York just stays open later, and you can actually still order dinner at like midnight. um, but it's just a beautiful place where, uh, if you're, I don't know, if you're open minded and you love something, you're gonna find a massive amount of people that also love that thing with you. And I think it's the thing that makes these two cities like the best cities on the planet, and obviously you just see the joy, and I feel like, I don't feel like, I'm not knocking it, but I don't feel like you get that with, obviously your Man Cities. You don't get that with your New York Yankees. You don't get that with your, even your Chelseas, whatever. Like, obviously we're a little bit biased, but like, the world watched as Arsenal won the league and celebrated the way we did. People were trying to get in on our celebrations. You know what I mean? And I think the same thing with like the Knicks stuff is like, I was reading this thing is like New York. I mean, you have the Nets, which moved to Brooklyn, and it's a nice day. It's a nice place to go watch basketball and stuff like that. But somebody was saying like New York only has one basketball team, so it is actually one team that unites the entire city. And I think because of that, and because the same way that you'll find tourists or any person on the planet wearing a Yankee cap, there's always the same love for New York, like the same love for London, right? And so I feel like the whole world were like celebrating the Knicks this last week, just like almost the whole world was celebrating, except everyone who hates Arsenal. Um, everyone was celebrating that, weren't we?
But I've even had Spurs fans saying congratulations. It seemed like everyone was quite pleased for us, and just that every neutral out there was just so happy for, I guess, the joyous scenes that we created, and like, just impromptu celebrations and no trouble at all. Just people having a great time in the street. We had a bit of a heat wave, I suppose, when that kind of week and into the Champions League and around the parade. It was pretty scorching here in London as well, and it was just good atmosphere for it. And I mean, yeah, the last time we did it was pre sort of modern internet era. So the fact that it's all been captured and shared so widely has made it even more, exciting for everyone looking from the outside world.
Well, I read this, like, it was like a meme that said that this was the first time that Arsenal fans had been able to tweet or post an Instagram post about being Premier League winners, right? I had a full head of hair the last time we won the league. And so, yeah, I mean, it really is special. And you know what? Like, I don't want to go another 22 years, or how many years? 22 years. What's 22? 22 years. I don't want to go another 22 years, but I can definitely say that the climax almost feels worth it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to suffer what we've suffered for the last 22 years again. But man, it made it, like, it just made it so beautiful. And like, yeah, I think you're right. Like, there were a lot of people. Like, I have a good mate who's on my radio station. He's Spurs season ticket holder. And he'd said for the last few seasons, he was like, I don't want to see City win this. Like, he's like, I wouldn't tell my Spurs mates this, but I hope you guys do it. And I was like, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I didn't tell him that, like, I hope they got relegated. But like, but you're right. I think there was a lot of people that were happy to see it. I think the more, you definitely got pockets of people. They're like, oh, they didn't win it the right way because of corners and set pieces, whatever. And you go, well, if you don't want to lose to us by set pieces, then learn how to defend a set piece. You know what I mean? And then we won't be successful at set pieces anymore. I can definitely say that, like, we didn't play the most beautiful Arsenal football this season, but like at the end of the day, like, and somebody was saying this to me, it's like, when you look back in 20 years and you remember when we won the league in 2026, you're not going to think about like, oh, the football was not as beautiful as it was, because Arteta showed in the seasons leading up to it, like he knows how to direct beautiful football. But if it doesn't get us over the line, then like, what does it matter? Like, we didn't look back the last 3 seasons that we finished second and go, oh, but the football was so beautiful, wasn't it? You know what I mean? Like, you don't remember? I mean, you could say it. And so what I have been such a fan of Arteta, and I have a few friends that still are like, oh, I don't think he's the right manager for us. I'm like, all right, then find me one, please, because to me, he embodies the leadership, he embodies the empathy, he embodies the humility. He also, just as a leader, it seems like he's so quick to be able to pivot and change up his system to meet the obstacle, right? And like, you think about the criticism that we got for the Champions League final. They were like, oh, we played defensive. It's like, okay, every single pundit on the planet was like, oh, they're going to sink 5-6 goals past us. They didn't. But then they say, oh, well, Arteta didn't go out there to win. Like, well, what did he do if he didn't go to nullify the fact that you've got some of the best strikers, the best goal scorers in Paris, and they did not score once from open play, right? So we did, not them. And so I think he did exactly what he needed to do. We were unfortunate in that circumstance, but I'm so thankful that parade came the day after, because it almost like it wiped the slate clean. It was like, we didn't get that. We were all sad that Saturday night, right? And then Sunday we're like, all right, let's go celebrate the Premier League. You know what I mean?
Do you have an idea of how many people are part of the supporters group out in New York?
I do, actually. Well, obviously this season we haven't opened up membership for fixtures. Were just released today, weren't they? Yeah. If you want to talk about that. But the last season, I believe it was, I think like actual like paid members. I believe it was like 2,500, something like that. It's a lot of people, and you know, I had to say this in it was interviewed somewhere recently when we started. When we started at the end of, we formed a group in like right after that Paris final, and it was like I was a young man then, you know, and we went to this place that it was like something you would have never even like you couldn't even fathom. It's one place in New York City that if you were into football, you watched. And so you had everyone that watched there. And but at the time, there was maybe I'd say less than a dozen lads at the end of the bar. And and they in the years that followed, I became friendly with them, but like I was the younger kid at that point, right? I was in my I don't know, late 20s, early 30s, something like that. And it just happened that like I was in a bank going to a cash machine, and I had seen a guy wearing a colatory top. Um, uh, it's funny that I still remember that. Had the five. I walked in from behind. I just saw Tory five. I was like, what? Because at that point I hadn't known anyone who supported Arsenal, and this was before the Champions League final in 2006. And he was like, "Oh yeah." He's like, there's a handful of us. We watch at this place." And I was like, "All right, I've passed it, but I just never went in." So I went in and I started watching, and but I could just tell that like there was still that like old guard mentality. They were like, "Oh, these are the young kids." So we just said, you know what? Like we were younger. We felt like we were, I don't know, more. I don't know. We wanted to make more of a community, and so we did, and we built a massive supporter group during times that we did nothing. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you think about those years that were, you know, I think about some of those players that we went through, and you go, "Oh man, that football was not fun to watch," you know, and but we loved it, and you know, I think the thing that we really did for ourselves, it was, you know, fortunate that we were in New York, right? Is that you have people that are always from somewhere in the world, right? And so they brought their own cultures to us. And then they were also surprised that, you know, I have a best mate that we met in 2008. He'd been on a what do you call it, on a red eye to New York. He got in at like 5 a.m. They got on it. Arsenal played what was it called? Who do we play? I think we played Middlesbrough at like, yeah, we played Middlesbrough at like, it would have been 7:30 in the morning our time. Again, in a pub, 7:30 in the morning, no big deal. Then there was a oh gosh, I can't remember who Liverpool played it doesn't matter. There were 3 matches, but this guy was kind of just clocking us. I think I was wearing like a Stone Roses t-shirt, so he's like, "Oh, who's that guy right there?" But apparently, he was just watching us to see what we knew and what we didn't know for like the first half. We'd gone out at halftime. He started chatting to us, and this guy's like one of my best mates now. I've done Christmas with him ever since, and it's you just have these people that I feel like they bring a little bit of culture to share with us. We also have it because it's a massive international community to begin with, and but we endured it, right? Like we didn't support Arsenal because it was easy, because we were like glory hunters or whatever. We did it because, you know, like it takes commitment to be like, I'm gonna be at the boozer at 7:30 in the morning, because your day is ruined after that. You know what I mean? Like, I still remember being like, all right, it's midday. I'm going to go home and have a nap for 5 hours, and then it's dinner time. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that's what just built how serious the New York supporters are. And some of them are absolutely mad, like mad. So I say some of them, not me, of course. So we got to
Three
get you
o'clock.
over.
Yeah. Soon. 3 o'clock is the most romantic. 3 o'clock Saturday is the most romantic time for a kickoff here in the UK. Probably like Super Sunday, 4:30 is the most popular. If it's a big game, that's the one. And then obviously Champions League are weeknights, like at 8 p.m. If you're in New York, what's kind of the preference for a kickoff time? Like when can it be the best?
Depends on the season. Depends on the season. So I do like a 3 o'clock because that's 10 o'clock in the morning. It gives me enough time to have a little bit of breakfast and I can have something in me. If it's like on some of you, like it depends, and it also depends where I'd go. I do like the 5 o'clock kickoff sometimes, or the half five kickoff on a Saturday, because if it's like a really sunny day, like to just like kind of leisurely get to it, go to the pub for a little bit. So it's almost like you feel like, I'm there for lunchtime to like 2:30, and then you're at least in daytime mode versus like really really early. Um, it's funny when you think about midweek Champions League. Like technically, we're all meant to still be at work. It'll be like midweek 3 p.m. So 8 o'clock kickoff is 3 p.m. So it's like everyone has a doctor's appointment or a dentist appointment or whatever it is. But yeah, I lean towards the ten which is the 3 o'clock, or the half five, which is the half 12 here. So yeah, but Sundays I could give or take.
Any merch that you're proud of, or any favorite Arsenal shirts, or just any memorabilia?
You mean just like that I've made, or that I've
That you just have.
Let's see. Let's see what I've got here. Let's see. All right. I don't have a lot here because I'm in two different places. I split my time in two different places. However, let's see. I got a few in this bin, don't I? I did. You know what? It's really sad because one of my favorite tops, I will show you, and you can see what is slowly beginning to miss here. How can I change the direction of the camera on this? Let's see. Oh, no. All right. Well, I'm just gonna have to turn it this way. Is that I do have the? It's so sad. I don't know. Can you see this?
Oh, the 2006 final. That's not sad. The centenary shirt. Nothing
Right,
sad
but
about that bad boy.
no,
20
but
years old now. That's really vintage.
it all the gold foil have come off the letters. So, but I do have the legend on the back of, obviously. There you go.
Nice. Super Dennis Bergkamp.
Let's see what else we've got. I've got a lot of, actually I have some quite cool ones, to be fair. Boom. Yeah. All right.
That's nice. That's
Yeah.
like that's like David O'Leary, late 80s look.
That would be
it.
80. I believe that would be 87, 88.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty sure. I love this one. Obviously, the nice. I like the material on this yellow O2.
That says Robert Pires to me. That kind of look for the shirt.
Yeah.
But Bergkamp, again, you're all about Super Dennis.
I did. Oh, you know what? Here's a nice one for you. So I was fortunate that, like, running the club when Thierry was was in New York. I boom. Not my favorite top, though. To be fair, I didn't really like the collar on this one, and the gold was, I don't know. It's not my favorite of the tops. Let's see what else we've got in this bin. Do you know what? I do have a pair of match worn Lee Dixon shorts somewhere in here, which is very strange. Do you know what? I love this one. This would be, I don't even remember. This would have been like 80, maybe 82. We still had them, bro.
Wow.
Yeah. What else do we have here? What else? I'm enjoying doing this with you. Oh, you know what? This is one of my favorites as well. And I will say this: these are actually all original. They're not like the repros or anything like that. I'm sorry that I'm like handling my camera in a funny way. I love this JVC Nike top. Always have done.
Yeah.
I love the collar on it. Yeah. Oh wait. Authentic replica. Yeah, I was gonna say. Wait a second. And then I also love that it just said Arsenal down there on the bottom.
That's when we had the hooped socks as well. Yeah, that's when I think David Platt joined. That's the season that Dennis joined, isn't it? It's like 95 time.
This I think this was
94.
Yeah, I think it was 93, 94. Yeah, because if actually I'm gonna look now, because I had this really cool print that you might like, which was
wow.
Yeah. So they did this like Nike for the last 20 years, but that same top we also had that away that I actually don't like it when we wear blue because I feel like we always lose when we wear blue away. But that was. Oh yeah, there we are. So yeah, I think so. 20 years. So that was 94. That would have been 94. That was the 94 top right there. Yeah. So that's why I had to like look to see what that actually was. I want to see if I can share anything else with you. This is pretty fun. I feel like this is like did you ever watch that show called Cribs where people would show you like just everything their house and all the stuff that they kept in the refrigerator? Love this one. Love that one. And then I think I've got two. Oh, you know what? I love this thing. Did you ever see this?
Okay, what was that? Like some sort of training kit?
It was a training, yeah, and it's got like the weird holes in the sleeve so you can stick your thumbs out, which is kind of weird. I'm really enjoying this, mate. Some modern stuff. I bought this this past season, because it's just so loud, and I felt like I was pretty cool when I wore it. And okay, here's the last of them that are worth looking at. I love, obviously, like anybody, you got to have that. It's a must, right? And then I also love, and I know it's a shocker, I'm not a big fan of Dennis Bergkamp. Love that one. Nice gold top. And then finally, do you know what? I have to say this because I've developed a relationship with this man, Mr. Liam Brady, 71 top. And then the last one that I really like, because I felt like for the first time we're making it public that Arsenal are a progressive club. I love the Pride top. I think it's great. Anyway.
What a collection.
There's a few of them there. A few of them. So I have more, but you don't need to see all the tots anymore. So yeah. There you go.
And then when you're in London, which pubs do you like to watch in if you're going to watch a match?
So I do a handful of them. I like to go to the Swimmer. It's a bit of a walk, but the people that I know there, they're just so quality, and I'd say it feels less touristy than some of the others. I will go to the Victoria on Holloway Road. I also will go to the Duchess, Duchess of Kent, down on just a little bit, like if where the Victoria Tavern is on that corner. If you walk down and around, it's like probably like a 7-minute walk from Victoria, but like a little bit more off the beaten path. I really like that. I used to do the Tollington back in my younger years. It's a bit mad for me now. But I did after we, what night did I? So I was over for Chelsea back on, I think it was at like the 1st of March. And, obviously we did them that night in a stressful manner. We did everything stressful this season, didn't we? But, we did manage to beat Chelsea on that one, and the vibe that night was really good. It was a late kickoff. I believe it was like an 8 o'clock kickoff that night, because it got moved. Yeah, it got moved to the Monday, I believe, and so like just the vibe on the street was really good. So we did actually go over to the Tollington post match. I like what is it called? Is it the Blackstock?
Yeah.
That place is good. And I recently went to what's the other one that I used to do all the other ones. I used to go to the Gunners. I used to go to Arsenal Tavern. I used to DJ at Piebury Corner on Holloway Road before it's no longer. But that was always a fun pre-match spot because like all the pies were named after Arsenal players. And ironically, of all weird things, I met Andy Bell from Ride and Oasis. We both played 45s at Piebury Corner like one afternoon. I was like, this is crazy. Like, yeah, I'm a big Ride Oasis fan, obviously. Just being like, I'm spinning records with this guy. I used to really love, if you come out of Holloway Road tube stop, there used to be, and I can't remember what it's called, but there was like this really big pub that was in the Arches, and that like the whole like alley outside of the Arches, and this thing was massive, and it was always a good time. But they were recently shut for whatever reason. So I've had a lot of really great memories of just being in London for the football, and I've done the Horatio, I've done the Shea, I've done them all. I think. But you will normally find me at the Swimmer. and either the Duchess or the Vic. Like I'll do one pre-match, one post-match, yeah.
And it's going to be tough to say because like this season is probably quite up there with everyone's. But fave Arsenal moment, like throughout your Arsenal watching days, well, you can have a few. You can have a few
Ever.
ultimate highlights.
One very quickly springs to mind, because it was painful. That might be me making the feedback. I remember I was in New York for this one particular one, and it was Barcelona, and I believe that it was the one that we won. Yeah, we won 2-1, and I believe it was Arshavin that scored the second goal, and I was sat like at a bar top, and it was, in America they do a lot of those like really tall stools, so I'm sat on a quite tall stool with a back, and somebody, when the goal came in, like, I mean, we were all like, "Ah," right? Somebody had jumped up and like used the back of my stool to, like, I don't know, give them some support when they jumped. It ripped me backwards. I literally, I thought I broke my shins as they slammed into the bar as I fell backwards. And then I just have like, I'm on the ground, like with just people around me, and I'm like, yeah. But I was an absolute pain. When you slam your shin into anything, you're like, just the pain of it. But I didn't care. That was a really, really exciting. That was a really exciting one. I really enjoyed. I don't know if you remember. Oh, I've got a few actually. I used to love Boxing Day fixtures. As far as like when I'm over, Boxing Day is probably my favorite day to watch the Arsenal. And I remember we played Wolves on Boxing Day. This would have been maybe 2009. Yeah, probably 2009. And I remember Cesc Fabregas got subbed on at like, I don't know, I want to say like 36, 37 minutes, something like that. And I don't know if you remember this because it felt like such a fluke, but the ball hit his leg at the halfway line. He scored a goal from it, but the power that it hit his foot, he was injured for like 3 months after it. So he came on at like 36 minutes. He went out at like 41 minutes. He was like on for like 5 minutes, scored a goal. But it was just such like a, whoa, that was mad. I've got two more. Another Boxing Day one when we did Newcastle 7-3, day after Boxing Day. It was just 10 goals scored in a match. It's just like madness. Like, you're not going to experience that too many more times. And yeah, and then, obviously the Max Dowman goal this season, goodness gracious. It just felt like a joy to really witness that. Oh, you know what? And I do have to say this. One of my favorite days ever. I was over for the 2014 FA Cup final against Hull. I was with the person that we'd never seen Arsenal lose together. Actually, the guy that I was mentioning before that stood behind me, making sure that we actually knew what we were on about. We had never seen Arsenal lose together. We went to the FA Cup final, and if you remember, we were down, and at halftime we were down. I had literally ripped all of my fingernails off. I was in bits. And when Aaron Ramsey scored that winner, it was the first time in 10 years that we'd seen ourselves win anything, right? And that was pretty electric. And obviously Wembley went, bananas. Like, it was such a joy to experience. And then, obviously, like, that night, the two back from Wembley back into North London, we went to the Tollington that night. The Tollington was absolute carnage. And then the parade was the next day, wasn't it? And I was over for work. I was working in Spital Square at the time, and I know that's close to you. And I'd been over there for like a month working, and so I actually, just by chance, I had a flat that I was renting on up on Highbury Hill, and lo and behold, yeah, we win the FA Cup. The parade's like we went across the road to the Australian coffee spot up there on Highbury Hill. I don't know if it's still there or not. Had our coffee and our pastry, and we're like, all right, let's take like 10 more steps, and boom, there's a parade. There's the Arsenal coaches going past, and it felt really, really those. Yeah, I feel like I have some pretty magic moments, but yeah, there you go.
There we go. Nice one. Kurtis, so many stories, memories, shirts, merch. Thank you very much for being the first guest on the Arsenal Armchair Podcast. What a guy. What a lovely guy. I guess we've been connecting through radio for probably close to 10 years or so now, and I see his pictures all the time of him up at the Arsenal, and he seems to know pretty much every pub in the land. So all round, well-connected and good time guy. If you're in New York City, hook up the New York Gooners and keep spreading the message. If you'd like to be featured, or if you're part of a group anywhere in the world, let us know. It'd be really nice to hook up. We can Zoom you like this, or we can meet up for a little chat, have a little pint, talk about the Arsenal. Thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.